There are hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? It's money everywhere. It's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino Is the Name. Hey, yo, what's going on right now? You watching Casino Is the Name, and I had a question the other day. There's a business owner who was starting a new business, and they had never really been in business for themselves, and they had a question because they know I'm pretty much a serial entrepreneur. I start a business, sell it, flip it, whatever I can do. I'm always hustling, and they wanted to know, what do I look at when I am deciding which business to go into? They were already invested in whatever they were building, and they were just curious as to what I look for when I am seriously contemplating going into a certain business. And so I thought that would be a good conversation. So this is the same conversation that I had with them. The first thing I do is I look at, does the industry make sense? Like, not only does it make sense, but do I understand the business itself, right? Like, let's say real estate. You know, people got to live somewhere. You might pay rent. You might have paid rent at some point in time in your life, or you know someone who's paid rent. And so you understand that people live somewhere and they pay rent to live where they're staying. And so the business makes sense because if you own the place where they rent, then you know someone is renting, right? The product and service that you're selling is space. You know, your product is an area for someone to live, and you understand that they pay once a month. You understand those things. You may not understand all of the logistics, but you understand the premise behind where it all, you know, what the whole idea of rental property is. If it was trucking, you understand that people need things delivered. They need things picked up. They need things dropped off. When you're on the interstate, you see semi trucks coming and going, unloading at Walmarts and all kind of other places. You see cars on the back of trailers. So you understand that someone is paying them to pick up those items and drive them to a different location and drop them off. So you can understand that. You understand, let's say if it was farming, you understand that that people grow food and other people eat food. You may understand those businesses because of that, but you may not understand all of the logistics behind everything. But at least you have an understanding of where the money is actually being generated, like what the product and what the service is. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there are people who have invested in things and they don't actually even know what they're investing in. There may be a MLM, and you're not even really sure, you know, they have a product that they're selling through the MLM, but it's more complicated than that because the whole goal is to bring people in. And there are a lot of people who are actually like really confused about a lot of those MLMs, multi-level marketing businesses. And then of course, there's some people who absolutely get it and they take off to the races. And so you definitely want to understand the business that you're going into before you go into it. Another thing would be the level of difficulty. I look at how difficult something is for me at where I am, right? Like, let me give you an example. A lot of the big the traditional large industries are difficult to get into. Say like an oil business is difficult to get into for most people. And I want to say, I think they want it that way. The machinery is expensive. It's a lot of guessing going on. The engineers get paid a lot of money. So, you know, you have to have a lot of money to even get into it initially. So it is not something that is extremely easy to start with no money. It is a curve. You know, there's going to be, of course, a learning curve, but, you know, you may understand the business, but it may be a very difficult business to get into. A lot of the heavy machinery manufacturing is, you know, like trying to start a business and you're just starting out with a factory, with a huge factory. That's not usually how that goes. And so some of those businesses are difficult to even just get into initially. So I look at the level of difficulty for where I am. And so that's something that you should definitely look at too. Like, is it even a real feasible business that you can start from where you are right then? And Another thing I look at is how much would it cost? How much would it cost to start? And this will also group in with overhead. Like, let's say there may be a company or business you can start that is very, very inexpensive to get into, but the overhead of running it may be very expensive, once you get started. And then there may be a business where it is expensive to get started, but the overhead is very, very low. So, you have to look at all of those things and just kind of like evaluate from there. But that's something I look at. What else we got? This is a very important one. But how will the industry that you're looking to go into be affected by technology, regulations, other business mergers? How will that industry that you're deciding to go into, how would that be affected by all of those things? Things like Blockbuster, movie gallery. Those are places where you could actually go rent DVDs. A lot of kids, like my son, has never seen a movie gallery, has never seen a Blockbuster. He has never even known of a place where you can go in and rent movies outside of a red box, which is not a actual building or anything like that. So he's never known of a place where you actually go in and rent movies from. And those were huge establishments. They were in almost every major city. Even in small towns, there was a place where you can go rent movies. And those things are all gone due to technology. Things like Netflix, on demand, all of those things, Amazon, like all of those things have erased the need for those types of businesses. But if you were getting into those businesses at a certain period of time, maybe say like the early 80s, 70s, 80s, those were probably like gold mines for somebody who was like, oh man, that's a great idea. The numbers make sense. And I'm sure someone made, millions at a period of time. But now that is not, if you were starting a movie gallery today, people would look at you crazy, right? So how will technology affect some of those things? And some businesses, the federal regulations have just kind of pushed them out of the country or something like that. So you got to look at all of those things. I'll save that one for last, but this is another one I want to talk about. But can you see the money? Where's the money? Can you see people making money doing this? Some things, it's you're not really sure where the profit is, right? Let's say you started a business and you were a baker, right? And you may not actually be the baker yourself, but I'm just saying you're looking at a business and it's a bakery, and you're trying to figure out, like, do they really make money? You see them selling cakes and breads and things like that, but you have no idea how much money is actually being made, right? And then somebody brings you into a bakery and says, hey, I produce all of this for $500. That's how much it costs me every week to produce all of this bread. That's including lights, the building, everything. I pay $500 a week to produce all of the items that I sell. But when I sell it, I make $5,000 every week. So if you could actually see the money, because not every business you're able to see the money like that. But if you're able to see the money, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. I can make money doing that. So make sure you're able to see the money. A lot of people get into businesses and don't even know that there's no money into them. Just like when people go to college, they go to college and get a degree in something they can't even use. So, it's just something to keep in mind. Make sure you see the money. And last but not least, this is I say that for last because it's one of the most important ones to me, and that is how can you scale this business? Is this business something that can be scaled? Not all businesses are able to be scaled to a certain level. Some require you kind of be like one location. Some require you stay in a very, very small kind of niche or area. And I always look at scalability. If I ever looked at a business, I always wonder, like, how big can I take this business? Because to take a business to a certain scale is the only way to allow yourself to basically have the business run itself. Like, well, not necessarily run itself, but to a place where you're big enough where you can kind of take your hands off it some, put some management in place. But if you're too small, then you're not going to be able to do that, because if your business makes, say, like $100,000 a year, and you got one location, that means that if a natural disaster hits that location, you're out of business, or you're at least out of business for a while. That also means that $100,000 a year isn't enough money to hire, the infrastructure that you need, the proper infrastructure that you need to run that business properly. An example that I was using when I was in discussion with the business owner I was talking to was Walmart, right? And now the business owner that I was talking to, their business really doesn't scale well. It is I won't say what kind of business it is, but it is a business where they pretty much have to be there. And almost everybody who's in that business kind of has their own practice, I'll say. And so it isn't necessarily easy to go hire more people to do that. It's a very hands-on kind of thing. And so I wouldn't particularly, like, if I was looking at a business, that wouldn't be a business that I was looking into. And that would only be because of scale, because the numbers make sense. We said, and we talked about the numbers. They can make a lot of money compared to what they have to put in. When I'm saying they can make, let's say they can make things like, say, $75 for $4 of cost, but it is a very hands-on business. And so because of that, it wouldn't be as easy to bring the scale versus, and this is the example I was using. I was telling them that Walmart, right? Say, like, I asked them, I said, who Sam Walton is? I said, yeah, that's the guy who created Walmart. I was like, yeah, okay. Well, if he had one store, right, then maybe that store make a lot of money. But if he had one store and something happened with that one store, then, his entire livelihood is at stake. But because they have multiple stores in almost every major city, they have several stores in them. We know Walmart, because they have so many stores, they're able to handle a downturn better than a building or a business that only has one location. Yeah, hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. It's crazy, right? It's money everywhere. It's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino Is the Name.